My name is on the building now. I still cannot believe I just said that out loud, even to myself. But before I get to that part, I need to start at the end of everything else. The end of my marriage. The end of believing that love was enough. The end of trusting my own blood to have my back. I met Kyle in the summer of 2019. I was 23, working as a receptionist at a dental office in Scottsdale. He came in for a root canal. I remember thinking he had the kind of smile that made you forgive him for anything before he even did it. He was tall, clean-shaven, wore a wedding ring, which I noticed immediately, so I filed him under not available and moved on with my day. But he kept looking at me over the dental chair while the hygienist worked on him. He kept smiling, even though his mouth was numb. When he checked out, he asked me if I wanted to grab a drink sometime. I pointed at his ring. He laughed and said, "We are separated. She lives in San Diego. It is over." I believed him because I wanted to believe him. We dated for 8 months before he told me the truth. They were not separated. They were very much married. She was pregnant with their second kid. I found out because she called him while I was sitting next to him in his truck. The name on the screen said wife. I stared at it until the call went to voicemail. Then I asked him who that was. He turned white, not pale like a little scared, white like someone who just realized the floor was gone under his feet. He told me everything. The marriage, the kids, the fact that he had no intention of leaving her. He just liked me because I was young, and I made him feel like he still had options. I left his truck on the side of the 101 freeway. I walked 2 miles to a gas station and called my sister to come get me. That should have been the end. But Kyle was good at 2 things, lying and waiting. He waited 3 months. Then he showed up at my apartment with divorce papers, real ones, signed by a judge. He showed me his new apartment lease. He showed texts from his ex-wife saying she never wanted to see him again. He said he ruined everything for me because I was the only thing that ever felt real. I was stupid enough to believe him again. We got back together. We got married 6 months later at a courthouse in Mesa. No family came except my sister Jenna. My parents said they needed more time to trust him. My older brother Matt said he would come to my next wedding. That one stung. But I loved Kyle. Or I loved the idea of someone finally choosing me. The first 2 years were good. Not perfect, but good. We had a small house in Gilbert. I worked at the dental office. He sold roofs for a construction company. We made enough to pay bills and go to Flagstaff once a year. I thought we were building something. I thought we were the kind of couple that survived something hard and came out stronger. I was wrong, but I did not know that yet. Things started changing when I got pregnant. That was 2021. The pregnancy was brutal. I had hyperemesis. I could not keep water down for weeks at a time. I lost 15 pounds. I had to quit my job because I kept passing out at the front desk. Kyle was supportive at first. He brought me crackers and Gatorade. He helped my hair back when I threw up. But after a few months, he started staying late at work. He said the company was short-staffed. He said he needed the overtime because we were about to have a baby. I believed him because I was too sick to think straight. My daughter Lily was born in March of 2022. She was perfect, tiny, red-faced, furious at the world for making her cold. I loved her so much it felt like my chest was splitting open. Kyle cried when he held her, real tears. I have a video of it on my phone, and sometimes I watch it just to remind myself that he did love us once, even if that love was just a temporary kind of thing. After Lily was born, the money problems got worse. Kyle's company laid him off when she was 6 weeks old. He said it was because the housing market was slowing down. He said it was not personal. But he could not find another job for months. We burned through our savings. We maxed out credit cards. We started fighting about everything. Dishes, diapers, the fact that I asked him to hold the baby for an hour so I could shower. He said I was nagging him. He said I changed. I said I did change. I became a mother. What was your excuse? He found a new job eventually. Selling cars at a Toyota dealership in Chandler. The money was okay, but not great. I went back to work part-time at a coffee shop because I could not find another dental job that worked with Lily's daycare schedule. We were surviving, but barely. Every month, we had to decide which bill to pay late. Every month, we argued about something small until it felt huge. Then my brother Matt offered to help. Matt was the successful one. He owned a plumbing company with 15 trucks and a big house in Paradise Valley. He drove a brand new F-350 and wore watches that cost more than my car. He was also the family favorite. My parents talked about him like he hung the moon. When he offered to let us move into his rental property for cheap rent, I felt relieved. I felt like maybe things were turning around. The rental was a small house in Mesa, 3 bedrooms, a tiny backyard with a dying tree. Matt charged us $800 a month, which was nothing for that neighborhood. I thanked him over and over. He said, "Don't worry about it, just get back on your feet." I thought he meant it. I thought he was being generous because he loved his niece. But Matt was not generous. Matt kept score. I just did not know the score yet. Living in Matt's house felt okay at first, but then he started showing up unannounced. He would let himself in with his key and walk around looking at things. He would comment on the dishes in the sink or the toys on the floor. He told Kyle that the lawn needed mowing. He told me that Lily was getting too big for her crib and maybe we should think about a toddler bed. It felt like an inspection every time, but I told myself he was just being the helpful brother. I told myself to be grateful. Kyle hated it. He said Matt treated him like a failure. I told Kyle to ignore it. I said Matt is just like that. He means well. But Kyle started pulling away from me after those visits. He would sit on the couch and scroll on his phone for hours. He stopped helping with bedtime. He stopped kissing me goodbye in the morning. I asked him what was wrong. He said nothing. I asked him if he still loved me. He said, "Of course I do." But his voice sounded flat, like he was reading a script. The affairs started sometime in the fall of 2023. I did not know it yet, but I could feel something shifting. Kyle started working late again. He started going to the gym at weird hours. He bought new clothes. He got a haircut more often than usual. He also started hiding his phone. He would tilt the screen away from me when he was texting. He would take calls in the garage. I asked him about it once. He said he was planning a surprise for our anniversary. I wanted to believe him, so I did. The woman's name was Brooke. I learned that later. Brooke worked at the car dealership with Kyle. She was 24, single, blonde, the kind of pretty that made you feel old even if you were the same age. I never met her, but Kyle talked about her sometimes. He said she was just a kid. He said she did not know anything about cars. He said she was always asking him for help with her sales leads. I did not think anything of it because I trusted him, or I wanted to trust him. There is a difference. I found out on a Tuesday. Lily was at daycare. I was home folding laundry. Kyle left his work laptop open on the kitchen table. He was in the shower. A message popped up on the screen. It was from Brooke. It said, "Last night was so fun. We should do it again tomorrow." My hands went cold. I opened the message. I scrolled up. There were months of messages. Months. They were talking about hotels, about sneaking around, about how Kyle could not wait to leave me, but he needed to figure out the money first. About how Brooke was so much more fun than his boring wife. I read everything. Every single message. I watched a time-lapse of my marriage ending while standing in my kitchen in sweatpants, with a basket of baby socks on the counter. Kyle came out of the shower with a towel around his waist. He saw me looking at the laptop. He did not say anything at first. Then he said, "I can explain." I asked him if he loved her. He did not say no. He said, "It is not that simple." But it was that simple. It was exactly that simple. I took Lily from daycare that afternoon, and I drove to my parents' house. I told them everything while crying so hard I could barely breathe. My mom hugged me. She said she was sorry. My dad looked at the floor and said nothing. Then my mom asked me what I did to push him away. She said it gently, like she was trying to help, but the question landed like a punch. What did I do? I was the one working 2 jobs. I was the one waking up with Lily every night. I was the one who put gas in the car and food on the table and kept the whole thing from falling apart. But somehow, the first question was about what I did wrong. I stayed at my parents' house for a week. Kyle called me a few times. He left voicemails saying he was sorry, saying he messed up, saying he wanted to go to counseling. I almost believed him again. But then I remembered the messages, the way he talked about me. Boring wife, that was what he called me. I gave him 3 years of my life. I gave him a child. I gave him every second of patience and forgiveness I had. And he called me boring? I decided to file for divorce. I could not afford a lawyer. I called legal aid and they told me I made too much money to qualify. I was making $14 an hour at a coffee shop, but that was too much. I called my parents and asked if they could help. My mom said they did not have the money. Matt had just borrowed $20,000 from them for a new truck, but they did not have money for me. I asked Matt if he could lend me $5,000 for a retainer. He laughed. He said, "Get a real job and maybe you can afford a real lawyer." He said like he was joking, but it was not a joke. It was Matt. I filed the divorce paperwork myself. I printed forms off the court website. I filled them out in the break room at the coffee shop between shifts. Kyle did not fight me on custody. He said he would take Lily every other weekend. He said he wanted to be a good dad. I did not argue because I was too tired. I just wanted it to be over. The divorce was final in February of 2024. I got the house because it was Matt's rental, and Matt liked Kyle more than me, apparently. Kyle got to keep his truck and his tools and his girlfriend. I got Lily every day except every other weekend. I got a stack of bills. I got the feeling that I had failed at the only thing I ever really wanted, which was a family. I moved into a small apartment in Apache Junction. It was cheap because it was far from everything. 1 bedroom, a kitchen with no dishwasher, a parking lot full of broken-down cars. I put Lily's crib in the corner of my room. I slept on a mattress on the floor. I told myself it was temporary. Everything is temporary. I needed more money. The coffee shop paid barely anything. I started working nights at a warehouse packing boxes for an online store. I would work the morning shift at the coffee shop from 6 to 2. Then I would drive to the warehouse and work from 3 to 11. I would get home just in time to put Lily to bed. My mom watched her during the day while I was at the coffee shop. She did not charge me, which was the only help anyone in my family ever gave me. I was exhausted all the time. I mean the kind of exhausted where your bones feel heavy, where you forget to eat because you were too tired to chew. I lost 30 pounds in 3 months. I looked like a ghost. My sister Jenna came to visit once, and she started crying when she saw me. She said, "You are killing yourself." I said, "I know." She asked what she could do. I said nothing, because what could anyone do? I needed money. I needed time. I needed someone to tell me that I was not a failure. But nobody was going to do that except me. The warehouse job was brutal. It was cold, it was loud. The managers treated everyone like machines. But I met a woman there named Carla who changed everything. Carla was 52. She had 4 kids. She had been divorced twice. She had worked warehouses for 20 years. She was tough and smart, and she did not take any crap from anyone. She saw me crying in the bathroom one night, and she asked me what was wrong. I told her about Kyle, about the affair, about my family, about how I felt like I was drowning. She listened to all of it without interrupting. Then she said, "You need to stop surviving and start building." I asked her what that meant. She said, "Right now you are just trying to make it to tomorrow. That is survival. Building means thinking about 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Building means asking yourself what you want instead of just what you can get." I told her I wanted to own a coffee shop. That had been my dream since I was a teenager. I loved coffee. I loved making drinks. I loved the way a good latte could make someone's whole day better. Carla said, "Then do it." I laughed. I said, "I have no money. I have no credit. I have a toddler. I have nothing." Carla said, "You have 2 hands and a brain. That is more than most people start with." She told me about a program at the local community college, a small business certification course. It was free for low-income single mothers. I did not believe her at first, but I looked it up on my phone during my lunch break. She was right. There was a program. I applied that night. The course was 8 weeks long, 2 nights a week. I had to find someone to watch Lily. Jenna agreed to do it for free. She said she was proud of me. That was the first time anyone in my family said that to me since high school. I learned so much in that course. How to write a business plan, how to project cash flow, how to find a commercial space, how to negotiate a lease, how to price a menu so you actually make a profit. I loved every second of it. For the first time in years, I felt like I was moving forward instead of just treading water. At the end of the course, we had to present our business plans to a panel of local entrepreneurs. I was terrified. I practiced my presentation in front of the bathroom mirror every night for 2 weeks. Lily would sit on the floor and watch me. She would clap when I finished. She had no idea what I was doing, but her clapping made me feel like I could do anything. The panel liked my plan. They said I had a good concept. They said the numbers made sense, but they could not give me funding. They pointed me towards some small business loans and grants. I applied for everything I could find. I got rejected for most of them. One grant said I did not have enough collateral. Another said my credit was too low. Another just never responded. I was ready to give up. I called Carla and told her it was over. She said, "No, it is not." She said, "You were just getting started." She told me about a different kind of funding, a local organization that gave microloans to women and minorities. The loans were small, $5,000, $10,000, but they did not require perfect credit. They just required a solid plan and a lot of grit. I applied. I got an interview. I sat in front of a woman named Diane who looked like she had seen everything. She asked me why I wanted to open a coffee shop. I told her the truth. I said I wanted to build something that belonged to me. I wanted to show my daughter that you can fall apart and still put yourself back together. I wanted to prove my family wrong. I did not mean to say that last part out loud, but it came out anyway. Diane smiled. She said, "That is the best answer I have heard all year." She approved me for a $10,000 loan. It was not enough to open a full coffee shop, but it was enough to start. I found a small space for rent in a strip mall on the edge of Mesa. It used to be a nail salon. It was tiny, barely 400 square feet, but it had plumbing, it had electricity, it had a window that faced the street. I signed a 1-year lease, I painted the walls myself, I bought a used espresso machine from a coffee shop that was closing down. I found some tables and chairs at a thrift store. I made signs on my computer and printed them at Staples. I named the shop Lily's Cup because everything I did was for her. Opening day was a mess. The espresso machine broke. I ran out of cups by noon. I forgot to buy lids for the to-go drinks. I cried in the back room twice, but I made it through. And the next day, I did it again. And the next day. Slowly, people started coming. Not a lot at first, but enough. Then something happened that I did not expect. The strip mall was on a busy street. People started noticing the little coffee shop with the hand-painted sign. They started posting about it on social media. A local food blogger came in and took pictures of my lavender latte. She wrote a nice review. Then another blogger came. Then a reporter from the local paper. Business picked up fast. Too fast. I could not keep up by myself. I hired a part-time barista named Sophia, who had just moved from Texas. She was fast and funny, and she made the best cappuccinos I had ever tasted. We became a team. Then we became friends. Sophia told me I needed to expand. I told her I needed money. She said, "Then get money." I went back to Diane at the microloan organization. She helped me apply for a bigger loan, $50,000 this time. I used it to renovate the space. I knocked down a wall, I added more seating, I bought a better espresso machine. I hired 2 more baristas. I started selling pastries from a local bakery. The shop went from a tiny hole in the wall to a real neighborhood spot. My family started noticing. My mom came in one day with her church group. She looked around at the new furniture and the busy line of customers. She said, "This is nice." Not great. Not, "I am proud of you." Just, "This is nice." I thanked her and handed her a latte. She asked if she could have it for free. I said no. She looked offended. I did not care. Matt came in a few weeks later. He walked around like he was inspecting the place. He touched the walls. He looked at the menu. He asked me how much debt I was in. I told him that was none of his business. He laughed and said, "You will never pay this off. You should have just stayed at the coffee shop." I asked him to leave. He said he was just being honest. I said, "Honesty without kindness is just cruelty." He left, but he called my parents and told them I was being dramatic. Kyle came in once. He brought Brooke with him. I almost could not believe it. They stood in line like they were just regular customers. Lily was with me that day. She was 3 years old. She was sitting at a table coloring. Kyle walked past her without even looking. He ordered 2 lattes. I made them myself. I did not say anything to him. He said, "You look good." I said, "The total is $12.50. He paid and left. He did not say hi to Lily. He did not ask about her. He just left. That was the moment I knew I made the right choice. He was not a good dad. He was not a good person. He was just a man who did not know how to love anyone the way they deserved. The business kept growing. By the end of the first year, I had paid back half of the loan. By the end of the second year, I had paid it all back. I was making a profit, a real profit. I hired more staff. I started roasting my own beans. I bought a small roaster and taught myself how to do it. the smell of fresh roasted coffee filled the shop every morning. People came from all over the valley just to try it. In the summer of 2026, a developer approached me. He wanted to buy the strip mall and turn it into condos. He offered me a buyout, $60,000. It was not a lot, but it was enough to move. I started looking for a new space, a bigger space, a space that could become something permanent. I found a building on Main Street in downtown Mesa. It used to be a bank. It had high ceilings, big windows, a parking lot in the back. It was perfect. And it was for sale, not for lease, for sale. I could own it, not rent it, own it. The price was $450,000. I laughed when the realtor told me I had maybe $40,000 in savings. I could not afford that. The realtor said I could get a commercial mortgage. I said my credit is still not great. She said your business revenue is strong. That matters more than your personal credit. She introduced me to a lender who specialized in women-owned businesses. I applied for the loan. I held my breath for 6 weeks. Every time my phone rang, I thought it was a rejection, but it was not. They approved me. They approved me for $350,000. I had to put down $100,000. I did not have that much, but I had options. I had my savings. I had the buyout from the old space. I had equipment I could sell. I scraped together everything, every penny. I sold my car and bought a cheaper one. I stopped eating out. I stopped buying anything that was not absolutely necessary. Lily asked for a new doll once, and I told her not right now. And I cried in the bathroom for 20 minutes because I felt like a failure all over again. But I did it. I scraped together the $100,000. I closed on the building on a Friday afternoon in October. I remember sitting in the title company's office, surrounded by lawyers and bankers, and people who had probably never worked a double shift in their lives. They handed me the keys to a building, my building. I drove straight to the building after. I parked out front. I sat in my car and looked at it. The old bank, the high ceilings, the big windows, the faded sign on the front that still said First National Bank. I started crying, not sad crying, not tired crying. The kind of crying that comes from somewhere deep. The kind that means you are finally releasing something you have been holding for years. I walked inside. The building was empty, dusty, dark. But I could see it. I could see the coffee bar along the left wall. I could see the tables by the windows. I could see the roasting room in the back. I could see my name on the building. Not Lily's Cup, my name. I decided to rename the shop. Lily's Cup would always be special to me, but this new place needed to be something different, something that said I built this from nothing. I called it the Reclamation, because that is what it was. I reclaimed my time, my energy, my dignity, my future. The renovation took 4 months. It cost more than I planned. It took longer than I expected. There were nights I sat on the floor of that empty building with a bag of fast food and a bottle of water and wondered what the hell I was doing. But I kept going, because the only way out was through. I opened the Reclamation in February of 2027, 5 years to the month after my divorce was finalized. The line went around the block. Sophia was there, Carla was there, Jenna was there, Diane from the microloan organization was there. My parents did not come. Matt did not come. Kyle did not come. And for the first time, I did not care. The name on the building is the Reclamation, but under that, in smaller letters, it says, owned and operated by me. My full name, the name my parents gave me. The name I almost forgot how to say. My family laughed when I worked 2 jobs. They laughed when I said I wanted to own a coffee shop. They laughed when I moved into that tiny apartment. They laughed when I asked for help. But they are not laughing now. Now they call me asking if I need staff. Now they ask if I can sponsor their church events. Now my mom tells people her daughter owns a building. She does not mention the 2 jobs. She does not mention the nights I cried myself to sleep. She just mentions the building. Matt came to the Reclamation last week. He stood in the middle of the cafe with his hands on his hips. He looked at the exposed brick and the custom woodwork and the line of customers out the door. He said, "You did okay for yourself." I said, "I did more than okay." I said, "My name is on this building. Where is yours?" He did not have an answer. He left after that. I have not heard from him since. Kyle comes in sometimes. He comes alone now. Burke left him last year. He sits in the corner and drinks black coffee and watches Lily color at the table by the window. Lily is 5 now. She knows he is her dad, but she does not really know him. He tries to talk to her, but she is shy. She hides behind me. He looks at me like he wants me to fix it, like I can fix something he broke. I cannot. I will not. I am 31 years old. I own a building. I employ 12 people. I roast my own coffee. I put Lily in a good preschool. I bought a house, a real house, not a rental. Not a family discount. A house with my name on the mortgage. My name only. Some nights I sit on my back porch after Lily goes to bed. I drink a cup of coffee from my own shop. I look at the stars. I think about the girl who walked 2 miles on the side of the freeway, the girl who slept on a mattress on the floor, the girl who worked 16-hour days and still could not pay her bills. I want to tell her that she is going to be okay, that she is going to be more than okay, that she is going to be someone her daughter looks up to. But I do not need to tell her, because she already knows. She is me, and I am still here. My name is on the building, and that is something nobody can take away from me. Not Kyle, not Matt, not my parents, not anyone. The reclamation is open 7 days a week. We serve the best lavender latte in the state, and every time I walk through that front door, I look up at my name on the glass. I say it out loud sometimes when nobody is listening, just to remind myself that I did this, I built this, I am the one who survived. And that is the whole story, or at least the part I am ready to tell. The rest is still being written, 1 cup of coffee at a time.